A long time ago, in a very far away place, there lived a man, a beautiful man, and his hobgoblin friend Andy. Welcome to the adventures of the Andy and Rem show every Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. Talking about Age of Sigmar and everything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer fantasy. Easy to learn the rules. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. I can't stop it. There you go.
Well, Remington there and his possessed instrument.
Wow. What an intro.
We haven't seen that instrument before, have we?
No, I got this in someone was doing a big garage sale. This is a little accordion thing. Sounds pretty cool, right?
Does it come in its own little case you can play it in as well?
Yeah, it's all... Yeah, can you see that? There's this case. You open the lid, you plug it in. And then,
so you do have to plug it in.
It's pretty cool.
Sometimes you wouldn't just be able to sit on the street and open up your case and start playing it. You would have to actually plug it in as well.
You have to get a little power pack for that. It's a bit discordant. That's still a bit discordant. Let's go major, shall we? Or even minor. There we go. How nice is that? It's the Andy and Remington Steel. I don't know. I can't not look at it and play. I'm not that good yet. There you go. I'm learning.
Okay. Well, just looking at the comments, a couple of people were shocked and horrified at the sound of that instrument. Freddie, for example, says, "Oh God, what kind of devil's instrument is that?" A few more replies, all in caps. So, folks, welcome. The Andy and Rem Show, number 68. And we're closing in on the spooky Halloween season, and people were suggesting that maybe we should start incorporating some pumpkins into the show this month. But if you're going to suggest that, you have to do it slightly more in advance than 10 minutes before the show. And I think we can save that for right at the end of the month when we're actually close to Halloween.
Speaking of...
We're only in the Halloween zone right now.
Speaking of pumpkins, Andy, I can't really describe the taste of pumpkin. Don't have it too often. How would you describe?
Neither can I. It's not really something we eat in this country, is it?
Yeah.
In America, they're all about the pumpkin pie.
Yeah, pumpkin pie. I don't know about the pumpkin pie. Maybe with treacle on top. But I couldn't tell you the taste of a pumpkin. Don't know.
I think there's enough pie filling already without throwing pumpkin into the mix, to be honest. Although Americans do swear by it.
Do Americans have turnips?
Are you saying they should have turnip pie instead of pumpkin pie?
Well, I don't know. Is turnip a real English thing? The reason why I say it is I associate turnips with the topic of our show tonight, which is halflings.
Do you indeed?
Yeah.
Well, is it true that you haven't shaved your feet this week in honor of our discussion topic?
I'm not a very hairy person, I hope you know. Look, here's my chest hair. It's, you know, one slash of a razor and all that hair would be gone, you know?
So now, for all we know, you could have waxed before the show, though.
Now, if my dad was Middle Eastern, I'd have a hairy back, no doubt. But my mother is Middle Eastern and not my father. So
is that how it works?
Yeah, I have very smooth skin.
Well then, if anyone in the audience has particularly hairy feet and would like to suggest that they may have some kind of halfling history in their lineage somewhere, then let us know. So we've got plenty of topics to delve into this week. Considering there's been another lack of Age of Sigmar news, we're actually quite well stocked for discussion topics. because there's one particular topic that we were supposed to be getting into many, many months ago, but never got around to it because we were so flooded with releases. And now that we've had this somewhat of a drought period, and we've already scraped off the bottom of the barrel, and there is no barrel anymore, we've finished scraping it so heavily that there's just like the metal outer rim of the barrel now. So we've actually had to go onto a completely different barrel altogether. But before that, I think, first of all, a couple of pieces of housekeeping. Let's see who's in the active users list, shall we? Because it's a packed house, as always. I'm surprised no one's mentioned that as a catchphrase yet. I say that every week. We've got Battle Knights, Bazooka J Rambo, Dark Adrenaline, Demon _Lizard _from _outer _space, Dice Miniature Paint Guy, Dino Titan Edition, Gloom Dreddy Gaming, Graham Rigg, Gubbins, Mark Harvey, Mickey Jenver, Oric Lovegod, Paul Conti, some chump called Remington Steel is in the chat as well. Ruhark, Rural Goblin, Skeleton Flower, Steve Blomqvist, Stu Gibson, Thomas, and YouTube Newbie. So it's quite packed. Oh, and there's Sebastian Blau and Gary Waddingham as well. Just commented as I was reading out the list. So first things first. As always, we're going to look at the old GW website and see if there's anything going on there. And while there isn't anything particularly new and exciting, they have got this new bundle with the combat gauge and rangefinder for only £30.
Wow, what a bargain. Now, they've put up a video explaining how to use the rangefinder, which was quite entertaining, on the Warhammer TV, which has a wonderful new host to it. And he's actually became my friend on Facebook. And we're organising a little Age of Sigmar battle at some point. But this guy's great. And he's also, as well as introducing this rangefinder, he's also introduced another new product from GW, which we'll come to in a bit.
Yes, but the combat gauge in particular, the one issue I possibly have with it is the fact that the thread kind of runs through a part of it that you might actually want to use. Can you actually detach it from the string?
You can cut the string off, right? What is it, leather or plastic?
Well, for that price, I should hope it'd be like gold encrusted harpy sinew or something.
Now you can buy a tape measure, can't you, for maybe £3 to £5,
Yes.
and you can kind of make one of those out of card, can't you?
Well, I don't know if you can make one that's quite so spectacular. Look, it's round and it's gold.
Hey, listen, if you love the hobby, then why not? You know,
why not? People were rocking these combat gauges at that tournament, weren't they? We saw them using it live on video.
I remember you tossing me a rangefinder, and I held it in my hands. I didn't know what to do with it, but the video explained it to me.
Well, now there's another product here that's interesting. Gore Chosen. Now this is interesting because you have actually bought it, haven't you?
I went into, yes, you can. Yeah, sorry, I'm just reading the comments at the same time. Yeah, I went into the shop for the first time. Listen, last 3 weeks, right, I've just been addicted. I've refound my love of Baldur's Gate and Dragon Age on the PC, and I was playing Dragon Age Origins constantly, and I've just got what's it called when you got the shakes because you can't play it anymore because you completed it. Anyway, that kind of happened to me all the weekend.
Withdrawal symptoms,
that's the one. And the thing is, on the Steam, I downloaded Dragon Age Ultimate Edition, which is supposed to get you all the kind of, all the extra gaming hours for different adventures, but it doesn't seem to work on mine. I only get the original game, which sucks. Anyway, this led me to go into town, and yes, I bought Gore Chosen for £28. I think that's a pretty good deal. And inside, I had 4 Chaos Champions. I had a quick skim of the rules. Really quick skim of the rules. And I'm going to...
The Remington skim, it's known as.
Remington skill. Just kind of look at the pictures and just kind of read the first sentence and then go, well, it'll be all right, sort it later. And I'm going to give it a crack tomorrow. So I've got my little gaming club at school. I'm just going to get the lads to kind of read out the rules, and then I'll just pretend I know what I'm doing, as usual.
As always, that is the Remington way. If anyone in the audience has ever given one of their books the Remington skim, then let us know, and we'll go to the comments in a minute and have a look at that. As far as the comments go, people have been coming up with hilarious quotes from the show already. We're barely 10 minutes in. Mini Warrior says that it's made from Sigmarite hair strands. the combat gauge. Well, that's all right then. Although they are black, so they must have messed with that somehow, because surely pure Sigmarite is going to be nothing but gold. So, next thing on the agenda, we're going to have a look at this, which you alluded to a moment ago. There we go. Boom. What do you think?
Wow. Listen, first impressions, I was thinking, oh no, it's another corn product, right? And I don't think the pictures do it justice, because if you watch the Warhammer TV video, the guy gets it out and scrumples it all up, and it's actually really well textured on the top. And that's kind of sold it to me a bit, just the texture. It's not just a photo that's been kind of printed onto like a mouse mat. It's like textured. It's got like bumps, and you can feel the craters. So that's kind of sold it to me. But you know, it'd be great if they did ones for the different dominions. Don't you think?
Surely, if this one sells well, they will do. But yeah, it's nice when Warhammer TV are willing to whip it out on camera so you can see all the craters and whatnot.
Yeah. Which other realms would you like to see? And by the way, I think this comes in at £55, which sounds like a lot, but when you go online and you look at other companies, £50 is more or less what they charge when you include post and package. But to be fair, that's usually for a 6x4 foot map, and this is only a 4x4 foot map. So
yeah, it remains to be seen whether they'll come out with any other sizes of mat, or whether there's going to be some kind of moving towards smaller games, perhaps, was some of the speculation I saw. But maybe this is just a test run, and then if this does well, they'll come out with full 6x4s in all different styles as well. But of course, is this going to be just direct competition to their own product, the kind of Realm of Battle style boards, or are they noticing that people aren't kind of so closed-minded now? Everyone's got the internet, everyone knows battle mats exist, so they can't just hide from companies' rival products anymore. So now they're just going to tackle it head on.
It's definitely the latter. I mean, the Realm of Battle ones, they're for hobbyists as well. You know, people that want to paint up and put their own scenery on it. This is more like for the more lazy gamer, or the gamer that likes to travel around and just, you know, maybe doesn't have the space in their hovels to, you know, have a 6x4 giant model set up of a battlefield.
Well, there's someone that's in a bit of a pickle in the chat here. Mr. Bazooka J. Rambo has a table that is 5x3. So there is no product that is made that I'm aware of that is suitable for his needs.
Now, I've got a question. What do you think? I mean, I can picture the realm of Nurgle easily enough, and the realm of life. What would the realm of metal look like? And what would the realm of death look like, do you think?
The realm of death, I would imagine it would be kind of a barren landscape with some kind of evil altar on it, and maybe piles of skulls around the place. Not too many skulls, though. Maybe full skeletons, because skulls are more Khorne's thing, aren't they? So full-on skeletons, an evil altar. Realm of metal, you would think some kind of forge works, perhaps. Something like that. And then
what about the realm of wind?
I don't think there is a realm of wind.
$1 million idea. Again, I mean, I came onto the show not having any, and one's just popped into my head there. That's great. The realm of wind.
That was one of the possibilities when we were coming up with a name for this show. The realm of wind was one of those on the table, by the way.
Yeah, it can be like loads of clouds, can't it? Like fighting in the air. But speaking of $1 million ideas, I've got to just come out with this other one. While we were talking about tossing and turnips and stuff, it reminded me of an idea I had earlier today. $1 million idea. It's another board game from House of Remington. But
oh dear.
First we had The Wheels of Steel, which was the chariot racing Age of Sigmar, Ben-Hur like tabletop game. Now I have a new one. It's called Toss the Halfling.
Really?
Yeah. How about that? Love it.
Do you want to tell us a bit more about that idea?
Well, when I was a kid, right, they had this like kids game where you look into this like microscopic sight, and like this wheel spins round, and you have to press the button because you can see the wheel going round through the microscopic sight, and you press the button and the parachute falls down. And you have to get it in one of the holes. So it'd be kind of like a mixture of that and Hungry Hippos, where you can't press something and it shoots a halfling into. I haven't quite developed it yet, but it's just as an idea. You know, I think the halfling players might be into that because there's nothing else going on for them. Toss the halfling.
Okay.
Or halfling
I think the
toss.
name has potential. I'm not sure about the way that you've framed the idea in terms of a game. I was thinking something along the lines of ogres just throwing halflings.
Oh, I like that. That's a good idea. But that's what would it be? That sounds like Blood Bowl, doesn't it?
Well, there could be more to it than that. There could be targets. It could be like halfling pinball.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, halfling pinball. You know, of course, Scots have tossing the caber, don't they? Where they have to, you know, where they're wearing the kilts, and it's like the guy from the Scottish porridge oats, isn't it? Where he's got his kilt in his bare chest, and he's like has to hold this tree trunk and throw it in the air, a bit like that, but like you're tossing a halfling. Maybe you got to toss them into a pot.
Got some interesting comments here. Dark Adrenaline. In my country, we toss pigs. I'm not sure what country that is. Maybe he'll tell us. Driddy says, I think Rem is retelling his suppressed memories of his alien abduction experiences as a child. Entirely possible. Mini Warrior says, hashtag halflings are people too. Yep, so you can't just go tossing them willy-nilly, can you?
Have you ever seen the Wolf of
their rights as well?
Have you ever seen the Wolf of Wall Street?
I have not. I think I know the gist of it though.
Well, they have an office party and they end up tossing dwarves, and they have to try and hit the bullseye with them, and they've got like Velcro. They're covered in Velcro, kind of like that, but with halflings.
That could work. Now, your $1 million ideas, as we know, have revolutionized not only painting, the hobby industry, wargaming in general, but obviously when you reach the top, you're going to be the subject of imitation. And there's been one prime offender so far who's stolen numerous Remington original ideas. So what did I find when I went over to Warhammer TV on YouTube? Well, look at this. It's Mr. Duncan's tip of the day. What's that? Dust and dirt. And look at him there with his dry brush using a very clear dusting technique.
Unbelievable.
So he's using a technique. He even uses the word dust in the title. He's not actually called it dusting, so maybe that's how he thinks he's going to get round the potential lawsuit.
I mean, to add insult to injury, look at the view count. 9,481 people have been deceived into thinking that Duncan has come up with these revolutionary techniques and ideas himself. I mean, what next? He's going to be tossing live on camera. See how many views that gets.
Only one way to find out. The gauntlet has been laid down, Duncan. Well, have you got any ideas that you think maybe they wouldn't want to steal? Because those might be the only ones you could actually safely use now. If the idea is too good, they're going to take it. So you have to just sail slightly below the radar and kind of undersell your ideas about things. Calling them $1 million ideas is tipping them off that it's genius, I think. Maybe if you just call them Remington Originals.
Remington Originals sounds like some throat sweet.
Yeah, it's like Werther's Originals, but it leaves you with kind of a sore throat rather than a soothing sensation.
Yeah, I think the next game up in my head that's just bubbling is a game about Yetis. I think Yetis be a good... Maybe Yeti landslide or Yeti skiing. How about that?
A Yeti flying off a jetty.
Yeah, Yeti Jetty. I like it. Jetty Yeti.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
like
not sure about this one.
Yeti Olympics.
They're all in the same pose, though. What could they be doing, those Yetis? They're kind of like this, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, what about if it was...
Javelin, maybe?
Javelin. What about like a 400-meter race with Yetis? But the catch is they have because they're highly flammable creatures, what if they have like a rope tied to them, but it's like one of those fuses, and at the start of the race they light the fuse, and then the gun goes and the Yetis have to leg it to get to the finish line before the fuse reaches their body and they explode. That could be kind of cool.
Exploding Yetis, the game.
The Yeti bomb.
The Yeti bomb. People have been rhyming things with Yeti in the chat, mostly spaghetti, to be honest. So yeah, it's like explosive spaghetti tied around them as they run down a jetty, and they are a Yeti.
And they turn into confetti.
When they explode.
Yeah.
Yes, some things do turn into confetti when they explode.
I mean, how? I've not been employed yet. I've not even had like an email praising the kind of genius ideas that are flowing out. I mean, I've got to give credit to, the people that watch the show and yourself, Andy, for spurring me on and encouraging me. But really, there's a think tank going on in Leicester, and down the road in Nottingham, their radars just aren't up. They're too closed. Maybe they live in like a lead-filled room or something, and they just can't feel these vibes. But
or maybe they're feeling the vibe so much that they know for a fact their ideas are so blatantly a rip-off. If they actually acknowledge you in any way, then you would then have some ammo for when you take them to court. They just have to pretend you don't exist while stealing your ideas, don't they?
They can steal whatever they want. I'm just going to keep coming out with the ideas. You know what I mean? I'll always be 2 or 3 shows ahead of them.
Well, if you've got unlimited ammo, it doesn't matter if people are stealing it, does it?
We've got Halfling Toss, Yeti Confetti. That's 2 great board games already. Rem's Wheels of Steel.
Speaking of halflings, I think it's time to actually look at some halflings for Age of Sigmar.
Wow.
So, these have been out a while, these war scrolls. We were supposed to be looking at them months and months ago, but never got around to it. So now is the time, folks. We're going to look at some war scrolls from the Halfling Project and get not only Remington's cheese assessment, but also the audience as well. So let's start off with Hisme Stoutheart. I'm not sure how that's supposed to be pronounced. I don't think English was the first language of whoever wrote these, by the way, so there are a few odd phrasings. But we'll just give you the gist of them. We won't read them word for word. So this is like your big halfling character with 6 wounds, slightly more than your average character there.
6 wounds?
Yeah, most things seem to have a bow in this list, which you'd expect from halflings, but all the weapons are all pretty average or subpar, which is also what you'd expect. They can't dish out too much damage. So most of the weapons only have 1 damage and there's not much rend going around. In fact, I think apart from the characters, almost everything wounds on a 5+. However, one thing that immediately jumps out at me as being potentially cheese-filled is the short and nimble ability. So you may remember in the previous custom halfling rules that were out there, they had the short and stout rule, which meant that the enemy were -1 to hit you in combat.
That's right.
However, the short and nimble, enemies striking with melee weapons against halfling models with this rule must re-roll all successful to hit rolls.
Love it.
That seems outrageous. So if you also have some kind of buff on a unit so that they have to re-roll all failed hits, should I say, all misses, then you're just going to be re-rolling every single dice. So in that circumstance, would you just say, okay, let's just go with whatever it comes out with the first time?
I like it. What's the next thing? Buckler of the Rod Buster. I can't read that.
No, it's not Buckler of the Rod Buster, although that could be an item that you find later in the Forest of Rem, now that you've mentioned it. The Buckler of the Red Rooster means that he can ignore the first hit suffered in each combat phase. So not only are you re-rolling successful hits, he's also just ignoring 1 per combat phase, which is quite outrageous. Also, if you do happen to get through that impenetrable shield of dodging, then he also has a brooch, which means that whenever he takes a wound or mortal wound on a 5+, he just ignores it. So I have a feeling there's just going to be a trend developing here that whoever wrote these rules is a big halfling fan and wanted them to be highly competitive.
I could forgive those rules, but maybe he should have 4 wounds instead of 6.
Maybe. I think everything just needs toning down a little bit. We'll see as we go on, though. He's also got his Book of Sage, so he can give out a bonus to one of the units for the whole game, I believe it is. So it can either be reroll 1s to hit with missile weapons, reroll 1s to hit in close combat, or +1 to bravery, which is pretty decent. Now this one is amazing. Command abilities, Remember the Moot. So in the hero phase, you can only do this once per battle, though. And all soldiers within 18 inches all the halfling units within that range get +1 attack, +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and -1 rend
Wow, that's mega.
with all their weapons. So if they have multiple weapons, then they would get 1 extra attack with each weapon.
Now you've got to remember, this is the main halfling character, isn't it? This is the big boss for the halfling.
Yeah, this is your halfling Archaean, essentially.
Yeah, halfling Archaeon riding a goat.
Also, in the hero phase, choose 1 halfling unit within 12 inches. This unit gains +1 to hit and wound. So if you combine that with Remember the Moot ability, which is once per battle, and you also combine it with the Book of Sage, which is reroll 1s to hit. Yeah.
But look at his... Oh, hold on. He's got 4 attacks with his melee weapon. Oh, yes. 4 attacks. Okay, and 1 attack. Okay.
He's on a pony as well.
He has got -1 rend on his melee weapon. The pony attacks too, doesn't it?
The pony does have an attack. It's not.
It has a 4 to hit and a 4 to wound. Can you imagine, like, your pony up against Archaeon? You've got a 25% chance of actually wounding it with your pony. Amazing.
Right then, moving on. Let's look at the Halfling Elder, which only has 5 wounds, so this one's just going to be on foot. Again, has the short and nimble ability. You can see the stats are starting to level out a bit. There's not a lot of rend going around or multiple damage. Very, very average in the attacks department. 4+ save, not too bad. He also can re-roll save rolls of 1 if he's got a shield. And the main thing for him is Elder's Wisdom. So in the hero phase, choose 1 halfling unit and they gain +1 to hit and +1 to wound. So it's basically the same thing that the other guy has.
Okay.
So he doesn't have as many exciting rules, but he's more just your average halfling.
Okay. Now, do we have any rank and file troops?
We do, and we're going to get to them very shortly.
Okay.
Let's have a look. We've got Gabbo Flugbend on Greywing. So look at the amount of rules here. Quite a lot. So this guy is on some kind of flying beast. It doesn't really say what it is, though, as far as I can tell. So, enemy missile and melee weapons suffer -1 to hit against him, because he's got a cloak that was made by elves, apparently. He's got animal traps, so when he's fighting monsters, then he makes 3 extra attacks when against them, which is quite potent. I mean, he already has 4 attacks. It has a bit of rend on it, not too bad at all. Also, this thing is a bit ridiculous, the mesh net. So, on the roll of a 3+, the enemy model is netted, so you can attempt to net 1 enemy.
Yeah.
And if they're netted, they can only hit on the roll of a 6+, and they can't move or charge.
Can you imagine netting a demon prince with a halfling?
Yes. So that's heroes or monsters that can only hit on a 6+ and can't move or charge. Any other model who isn't a hero or a monster is completely disabled and can't do anything. So on the roll of a 3+, you can make 1 model obsolete.
Wow.
Well, that is quite outrageous. And on the roll of a 5+, they escape the net in each hero phase. Otherwise, they just stay in it for the whole game. That seems a bit ridiculous to me. Okay, a netted model may not be removed as a casualty if there are other models in the unit still alive. So when you take wounds, you can't just say, oh, I'll take off the netted guy. He just has to stay there.
Okay.
You can't net war machines, which of course completely balances it out. And he also has a Gromril shirt, which is when he's targeted by a spell on a roll of a 5 or 6, the spell has no effect on him. Yeah, he's got 6 wounds as well, by the way, with an 18-inch move.
What's Greywing, do you think?
I imagine that would be some kind of bird.
Well, it's just that Reaper Miniatures do a halfling on a mini dragon thing. So I think maybe they're, Yeah,
it could be the little dragon, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I've actually got that model, but I haven't painted it up because it looks so different from the other halflings that I've got. It kind of doesn't really fit.
Let's have a look at the Sheriff with Army Standard. So the one thing you would normally be used to if you're using halflings from previous editions, then you would have had your chuck wagon, which is kind of like your battle standard bearer.
Love the chuck wagon.
They don't have any rules for that, though. So clearly an incomplete list here, but they've got the Sheriff with Army Standard, who's pretty mediocre in combat. But of course, it's going to be all about the banner with him. So any unit within 8 inches don't have to take battle shock tests, which is huge. If you put him in the middle of your forces. And of course, halflings are going to be losing models by the dozen, I imagine, and have quite large units. So not taking battle shock tests is quite a big deal. And in hero phase, you can also choose not to move, but you can gain these abilities. All halflings within 10 inches reroll fail to wound rolls.
Wow.
Halfling units within 10 inches gain a 4+ save against forces with the death, chaos, or destruction keywords. So anything evil, pretty much.
That's wicked. Like it.
It is. Next, now we're on to the rank and file stuff. The Halfling Militia. So they have the short and nimble rule again. So you re-roll hits against them. You can see their weapon stats aren't very good. Mostly 4s and 5s to hit and 5s to wound.
And look at their bravery. That's the worst bravery I've ever seen.
Yeah, very, very low bravery there.
Bravery 4.
Yeah, they're just in it for their dinner, really, aren't they? If the fight isn't going to go well, they're just going to run home and start snacking.
It kind of means you've got to have that banner working for you.
Yeah, you've got to have at least one of them in there. So the leader of the unit just has 2 attacks, pretty standard. The standard bearer in the unit gives them +1 to that bravery, which is quite important. The musician. So if the unit includes a musician, in your hero phase, take cover unless there are enemy units within 3 inches, which means they gain +1 to save but can't move or charge. So he's basically just playing a song telling them to hide rather than charge into battle.
Yeah.
Then they've got, this is the big thing here, the halfling ranks. So the more you have, the better their save is. So if you have 40 or more models, you actually get up to a 4+ save.
Yeah, but
because they don't have a save under normal circumstances.
They don't have a save. That's pretty awful.
But if you give them 40 or more models in the unit and shields, they could re-roll 1s as well. Suddenly becomes quite a scary prospect.
40 halflings in a unit, come on.
But you'd have to have more than that, because as soon as you lose one, you drop down to a 5+ save.
Well, I don't know about these guys. I'd just be taking a minimum number of these.
Okay, let's see what we've got with the Vigilante Guard then. You'd expect better things from them, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So as far as attacks go, they're not really much improved at all, but they do have spears or halberds, so they either have extra range or rend, so you can get more of them into combat, or you've got a bit of rend to play with. And extra attacks for the champion again, +1 bravery for the standard. They also have the same musician rule. They also have the shields re-rolling 1s. However, they do have this special rule, which is the hedgehog formation. If they're equipped with spears, and they're not already in combat, and then they're charged by an enemy, it's kind of a charge reaction. They can turn into a hedgehog shape and basically stick all their spears out from all sides. And they gain a 4+ save against melee weapons during the first round of combat.
I like it. I have a unit of Vigilante Guard. We can show them later.
I think that's quite an interesting rule.
Yeah.
Quite a good one there.
Hedgehog.
Then we've got Field Wardens.
Now, these were really awful in the 8th edition rules. They were like sling throwers.
Yeah, they still are sling throwers, but they have 2 attacks, 10-inch range on the sling, and it's not very good. So let's see if they've got some special rules, because if you recall, they were very suited to facing undead in the old fluff, weren't they? So as far as the leader and the standard bearer and the musician, all those rules are the same. Short and nimble is the same. So the interesting thing here is undead slingshot. So if they're fighting enemies with the death keyword, the slingshot, instead of 5, will hit on it hits on a 4+ anyway. It hits on a 4+ still, wounds on a 3+ though, instead of 5+, and it does D3 damage against death.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough, because death are going to have a lot of units to take down. And
I'd be interested to know how one sling bullet could take out 3 zombies. Presumably, he just waits until they're lined up behind each other, and it just like squelches through the first 2's eye sockets.
Well, they're magic stones, aren't they? So they're kind of like mortars. When they hit, they kind of like explode, and you get the shrapnel of the stone hitting the... Yeah.
We've come to some of the comedy rules now when we get to the Hobblars, which are, of course, like the pony cavalry.
Yeah.
So they actually have a slightly different rule for their standard bearer. So if the unit with the standard bearer does not take a battle shock test unless 2 or more models die during the same combat phase, and they have 2 wounds each. So there's a decent chance you won't take battle shock.
Yeah, Hobblars were awful before, because if you ran or charged with them, you have to roll a d6 for each model, and if they roll a 1, the halfling falls off the horse and he's out of the game.
I wouldn't get too excited yet then, because we haven't got to that bit.
Oh.
But the standard bearer is quite nice. That means you can move them out away from your army standard, and there's still a chance they're going to avoid battle shock, so that's okay. And the musician, It may run and charge in the same turn if it has musician, which is nice. So here's the ability you were talking about, Omph. Whenever they charge or run, and they roll at least 1/1, so if you roll the 1 on your run, or if you roll a 1 out of the 2 dice when you're charging, so roll the dice for each model in the unit. On the roll of a 1 or 2, the rider has lost his balance and fallen off the pony. However, the pony does actually complete the charge or towards the closest enemy unit and does D2 mortal wounds and then remove the hobbler as a casualty. So it kind of turns into like a kamikaze pony if it falls off. So it does like its death push into the enemy and then is removed. So it's improved and it's not as likely to come up because you do have to roll a 1 when running or charging before they do that.
These are difficult models to find as well. Like Games Workshop released, I think, one halfling on a pony back in the old Lord of the Rings days. But I've just typed it up on the chat there. There's a company called Battleforge. The Battleforge.
Yes,
And,
we're going to actually look at some of those in a minute.
All right, cool.
We've got a couple of companies actually, and then I'm going to make some suggestions for where people can look for the halfling info as well, because there are a couple of YouTube channels and other resources, blogs and stuff that are very, very useful for potential budding halfling players. We've had a comment, someone saying you need to get into Kings of War because obviously halflings are there.
Well, I have played a game of Kings of War. Played one, won one.
And you thought it was quite good, didn't you?
Yeah, it was all right.
So you just need to give it a go with your halflings now.
Yeah, it's all right. I like the lore. You know, I like getting into the lore before I get into the game. So I'll have to read up on that a bit more.
They've got another ability here, home before lunchtime. So you can use this once per battle. In the hero phase, you can attempt to win the fight to be home before lunchtime. So they're thinking, okay, come on, lads, we've got to hurry up now. It's nearly dinner time. So when they use this ability, you can re-roll all to hit rolls for them until your next hero phase, which is nice.
Okay, that's good.
And re-rolls of 1 when they have shields for the saves. So they're pretty good. Even when they die from falling off the horse, at least it then goes on to cause some damage to the enemy. Only 2 units left now. We've got the Halfling Rangers. So, an extra attack for the Trekker. And these guys with their bows are quite good. They actually have rend. Still wounding on a 5+ though. The Musician gives them that take cover bonus again. Short and nimble, which is the same, and scout advance. So they can basically deploy wherever they like, whenever they decide to show up during the game more than 9 inches from the enemy. So that's pretty standard there, isn't it?
And this was an actual regiment of renown back in the day, wasn't it?
You're talking about Lumpin Crew.
Yeah, Lumping Croups, Halfling Rangers, right? They were great. I bought them as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there are quite a lot of them in this house in Halfling Pete's army, still sitting in a box. Let's look at, finally, the housewives. There are a few things obviously missing from this list. They don't have the chefs, for example, but they do have housewives. So, missile weapons, hot, flying, frying pans, range 8 inches. So that's a funny little weapon there. The kitchen equipment isn't very good at all, but I imagine they're going to be all in the special rules. So they have an extra attack for the leader again, +1 bravery for the standard. And the musician, if it includes a musician, it may run and then charge. Furthermore, the unit becomes more alert as to incoming flying objects and gain a +4 save against missile attacks.
I like that. Imagine the housewives having lots of, lots of domestic fights, throwing pots and pans at their lazy halfling husbands.
Then they've got the short and nimble ability as well. Now, these are the 2 abilities that we're going to be focused on here because they're obviously going to be the best ones, surely. Women's Wrath. Halfling housewives are immediately subject to hysteria if any male halflings die within 8 inches of them. The unit may make double the amount of attacks for the next 2 combat phases.
That's just typical of women, isn't it? They're always hating on the men. When the man gets killed, they're all like, oh, he was great. He was the best thing in the world, Typical.
This is clearly a follow-on from the rule that used to be in the old 8th edition halflings, where the women would just go nuts if they witnessed any male halflings being killed nearby.
Yeah, they went into frenzy, didn't they?
Yes. They've got the washing line as well. Nobody dares get this washing dirty or they'll be held to pay. Roll a d6 at the start of the combat phase. On a 4+, the housewife's laundry has got nasty smudges on them during the fighting, and they're going to become outraged, so they can re-roll all failed to hit rolls until your next hero phase. On the roll of a 6, they can re-roll wound rolls as well. So you get a lot of potential for re-rolls in this army.
These are great. I like these house wives. These are very hard models to find, especially in regiments. You can buy one-offs, but yeah, I love the idea of these guys.
Very, very difficult indeed. However, if people are looking to find halflings,
yeah, and we're missing the
First of
chefs,
all-
like you say, and the hot pot catapult, which is
with the hot pot, I know GW tell you to just use the rules for the Empire mortar, but that's not really good enough, is it? That's a bit silly. So we've got the classic halflings here on the Battle Forge. They've got halflings and classic halflings. So in halflings, they have got, if the page is going to load, well, let's look at the militia basic troops first.
nice.
So-
You get a load of models, don't you?
Yeah, these are your classic halflings. So there's an awful lot. They've got cavalry.
Great models, these are.
They certainly are. There's a lot of character in them. They're all individual. I think they're all metal.
Yeah.
Let me just check. Yeah, they are high grade pewter. So, yep, still all in metal. They've got spearmen.
Yeah,
Very,
you
very
can
cool.
You can make that hedgehog. You can buy these in groups of 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 as well.
Yeah, what else should we look at here? They've also got halfling militia with swords and shields.
Nice. I like the guy with the watering can on his head. If you go to the right a little bit, there you go. Look.
There we go with the bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got quite a big variety of models here.
They've got slingers, they've got bowmen. They've got questing halflings, as they call them. They've got a bit more armor on. They've got bowmen.
Got the archers, of course. Of course, archers are one of the easiest kind of halflings to find on eBay
Yeah.
from the old GW range.
Yeah. Imperial halflings, yeah.
Spearmen again. Some of them pointing the spears forward. And let's go back and let's look at specialist troops and allies.
Yeah.
So you've got the likes of cannons and artillery and such.
Are these a little more expensive, these ones? No, I'm thinking.
Let's see. Well, £14 for the cannon and the crew. So that's pretty reasonable, really.
Yeah.
It looks like it's firing. It's basically the hot pot, really, isn't it? 'Cause he's putting a cooking pot in there to be fired out of a cannon, basically. Then let's see. We've also got the. Where did I see the sheep? There we go. So these are actually in Halfling Pete's army. I painted some sheep for that army, but we never really found any use for them.
Be rabid sheep. It could be quite funny. You could put horns on them, and they could be rams, I suppose.
Yeah, I've painted quite a few of these Battleforge halflings, and they are very nice models. In terms of scale, they're probably marginally bigger than the old GW stuff.
Yeah, that's right. They did have some more elite troops, if I remember. I did buy.
They do have some more stuff. Let's have a look at these. There's what you would use as your chuck wagon. And I think you've got this model, haven't you?
This one, yeah, this is a great model. There's different varieties of it as well. You can get it without the canvas on it. You know, different ways.
Yeah, there's
to do it.
all different ways of building it. They've got it with hay on the back.
Now, if you didn't know what a chuck wagon was, basically, this is the cart that holds all the halfling supplies. So it's kind of like their holy altar, if you like. And if the truck wagon gets destroyed, then they go absolutely mental.
Area questing halflings
Yeah.
with helmets on, shields. And let's see. Let's look at militia lords, heroes, and commanders.
Yeah.
So I've painted one of these, which is painted as a wizard. That's quite a cool model. We've also got, let's see, any other interesting characters we're going to look at now. I also painted one of these executioners, actually, and I painted it like he's wearing pajamas. I really need to take pictures of all those halflings at some point.
He looks like a very small model.
It's not actually that small.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, good deals from the Battleforge there. They've also got stuff like hay, haven't they? And, you know, ponies and random halfling kind of things. Yeah, the state troops. These are the elite ones I'm talking about. I've got some of these. These are great models, these are.
There we go. Slightly bigger spearheads on these ones.
Yeah, these would be your kind of what do we call them again? The sort of
Vigilante Guard.
yeah. That's it, Vigilante Guard.
You're kind of elite guys with the spears. Then we've also got Town Crier.
Yeah, this is your musician. He sort of dings his bell, reads out the news.
Hear ye, hear ye. Turnip shortage causes distress in village. Now, another company that do some nice halflings, Warplock Miniatures,
Yeah.
for the Ark World game. They've got the halflings of Hobbleshire. So this is the starter set we're going to look at here. And you get quite a tasty variety of halflings in there.
I think I was one of the first person to buy these models when they first come out, and yeah, they're just kind of homemade, really. The guy that does it all, he's really taken off, and he started with I think it was a Kickstarter campaign.
He's got a Kickstarter going right now, actually.
Yeah, great guy. You know, he's got a really good moustache as well, and he's got a Facebook page as well. Yeah, Art World Miniatures, but his heroes were really, really good models. These guys are pretty hard to paint. I don't know why. Maybe I just didn't prep them well enough, but the heroes were really great to paint. I can look at a couple of those.
Have a look. I've actually got this guy, but I haven't painted it.
I'm desperate to get that off you, Andy. I'm willing to do a swap because I need a halfling hero on a ram. So I'm sure you'll do it for me, won't you?
I think we'll be able to sort something out. A small brown envelope can maybe be exchanged.
That would be awesome because you just can't get these guys anymore. I know it says it there. Oh, they're back in stock. Oh, interesting. Look, it says they're also cast in white metal. That's changed because they used to be plastic. So.
The one I've got is in metal.
Right.
I did get it a year or two ago, though.
Right, okay.
And let's see, anything else we want to look at here? Let's have a look at the next page. Okay, now, the Halfling Thing Flinger, which is a bit of a tongue twister, but this is quite a cool war machine. Very tasty.
That's really nice.
So, for anyone else who's interested in looking up halflings, a couple of resources I would suggest. There is a YouTube channel called Majestic Feet, or I think it's Majestic Feet 1, something like that. If you just Google Majestic Feet Halflings YouTube, it should come up, or I'll just put a link in the description later.
Well, actually,
he's got a ton of halfling videos.
Yeah, Andy, if you just put in Warhammer Halflings, he'll be the top hit, and yourself as well, and my videos about halflings too.
If you look at any of our videos on halflings, then he'll be in the comments anyway. He comments on every halfling video there is. And he does a lot of videos on all the different companies that he gets his models from. So if you're interested in finding halflings, that's definitely a good channel to check out.
Definitely. Majestic Feet has the biggest collection of Warhammer models I've ever seen. Like, his army of halflings is numbers the near 1,000. And on top of that, he's got a massive regiment of pygmies, believe it or not. Yeah.
Hashtag flock the pygmy's head. Also, there is a blog as well. I'm just checking I've got the name of it right. Halfling House, it's called.
Brilliant blog. That is brilliant.
Yeah, a lot of halfling info on there.
Brilliant. This guy,
the guy halfling fanatics out there.
Yeah, the guy at Halfling House has made it his mission to get every Citadel release of halfling and make regiments of them, and they look fantastic. But he does a lot of realistic war gaming models as well, doesn't he? What they're called, historical figures too. Halfling.
Yeah,
House.
that seems to be the more recent stuff is on there. But if you go digging into the archives, there's a lot of juicy halfling goodness on there.
Now, Andy, I sent you some photos, didn't I?
You certainly did. So I think we could start flying through those now.
Yes, please.
So this is from Remington's personal halfling collection.
Yeah.
If you want to tell us what everything is as we get to it.
That's a Warplock miniature. That was one of the characters I was talking about. So this is my halfling cook hero. Yeah.
With an eye patch.
Yeah. This is, if you don't recognise this could be a good what the hell is that? But it is, in fact, a familiar, one of the Chaos Familiars, metal miniature. And I thought this would make a really good halfling illusionist. Just stick him on a big boulder. Yeah, and there you go.
And you never know, he's probably just sitting down inside that outfit, just eating a sandwich or something, and it's just propped up. It's the illusion that he's actually doing something. It's the illusion.
Oh, this is an old Lord of the Rings miniature, which was called the Fellowship of the Ring. So it had all your main halfling characters before and after they got kitted out in the Two Towers and whatnot. So can't remember this one. Is it Merry or Pippin? Pippin. That is Pippin, yeah. This is a Battleforge kind of Napoleon halfling standing on a sacks of flour. He's my leader, looking very majestic.
Very knobbly shield he's got there.
Yeah. This is the infamous. There's a couple of these pictures, Andy. This is the infamous halfling hot pot, which I've put on a massive base. These were the only halfling chefs you could get, and chefs are a big part of the halfling army. They have their own units, and they're kind of quite elite. And they have -1 rend, I'd say they should have with their.
I think Battleforge have a few alternative halfling chefs as well.
Okay, yeah, that's the famous halfling hot pot. Now, all these miniatures, you could sort of substitute them for Empire troops, couldn't you? You could have a halfling army and just count it as an Empire one with equivalent models. So
Yeah, for the most part, you certainly could.
This could be
That's
a
how you want to go about it. From the other angle there, you can see what he's looking at. He seems to be staring at this thing here, doesn't he?
Yeah, I got a few of the old house plants, shrubbery. I need to check them. They've probably died.
Yeah, I imagine those little bits of potpourri there probably shriveled up and died by now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is the famous chuck wagon. And I got the cow from the Warhammer Giant kit. So I thought it'd be better to have a cow pulling it than a horse.
Yeah, it in the old rules it was supposed to be kind of a bull pulling it, wasn't it?
That's right. And
Horse.
it had a special kind of charge rule. Yeah, it's the chuck wagon model. So you get this chuck wagon, you get about 5 halfling peasants with it as well. Yeah.
There's
There you
another
go.
angle there on the cow.
I love that guy at the front. He's great. Who knows what he's holding underneath there? So yeah, it's got a few converted halfling chefs there. One
I like
with
the one at the back.
yeah, with the menu.
Yeah.
Always like counting up the food stocks to make sure nothing's been pilfered and stolen.
I'm sure that is an issue in halfling society.
You met more Lord of the Rings. That's Frodo on the left, and I think it's Merry on the right. And this, I love this miniature. This is a Reaper halfling, and it's really small, but this was my kind of, a sort of, could be an assassin halfling, I suppose. Yeah. Great model that is. And this is one of the only housewives I've got. Really hard to get hold of these figures.
Converted with an enormous weapon that probably weighs more than she does.
Yeah. She was carrying a broom, but I thought, who would be crazy enough to just take a broom into battle?
Well, that's a very good question.
Unless you're a witch. This is a samurai halfling with a club. It's an old GW model.
That must be very old.
Now, this is another company that make halflings called White Knight Miniatures. White Knight Miniatures is a kind of a project developed by old Citadel Games Workshop lovers, and they've kind of gone for the Marauder look, Marauder miniatures. And they've kind of done a whole imperial army of dwarves. And these were some of the dwarves that I bought, but I thought it's small enough to be halflings. So they're dwarf cavaliers, musketeers.
Yeah, the cavalry, the halfling cavalry that Halfling Pete has in his army, which were, I think they were dwarves, but I don't know what company they're from. They're dwarf ram riders from someone.
They're so good. Really hard to get hold of.
To turn them into halflings, we kind of filed down the beards on them.
Right.
So you can't tell that they used to have beards.
I could do that with these guys, maybe.
It's a difficult process with metal miniatures, though. It's very tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, White Knight Miniatures, they're pretty cool. Now, do you recognise these?
These look suspiciously like the Halfling Blood Bowl team.
That's right. These are the second edition Blood Bowl team. It's cost me quite a lot of money to get a bunch of these guys done, but I got them and some various spears from different models. I think undead spears. At least the one on the right is. And converted the Blood Bowl guys into my Vigilante Guard.
Yeah, that does look like a skeleton warrior spear there.
Yeah, that's the old school one, and the one on the right is the new school, but he's my standard. So I think they've come out pretty cool. Here's your classic Marauder miniatures, Imperial Halfling archers.
Yeah, there are a lot of these guys in Halfling Pete's army.
I've still got about 20 of these on painted.
And the final image, your spearman.
Yeah, now these were the from the Battleforge, the special ones. I really like these models. Got loads of character. So
Okay,
there you go. I've got many more of these. These are just samples, by the way. So yeah, hope you like.
So, next up, your favourite part of the show. But before we go into what the hell is that, a quick word on the sponsorship. For the time being, at least, we don't know what the future's going to hold. We're going to be discontinuing the sponsorship with Blightforge after the last prize because he's actually moving to another country. I think he's still going to be doing painting, but we're not sure on the whole logistics of how it would work regarding sending out prizes and whatnot from that new location. So we're going to wait and see on that and then let you know what happens with that in the future. But we are going to be keeping a note of all the winners of what the hell is that in the meantime. And then any time that we happen across a prize or any sponsor comes in, then they will be eligible for any prize drawings we do. So there is good reason to win what the hell is that. And while Mr. Remington tunes up his instrument, I'll give you the gist of this week's competition. So it's one miniature this time. So it's kind of an old school, what the hell is that? It's zoomed in really far on one tiny piece of a miniature. So the first person to get it is going to be the winner. And if no one gets it after a while, because it is quite difficult, then I will start giving out clues. But it's just one miniature, so not too much effort, you would think. So as soon as Mr. Remington reels off that theme song, whichever instrument he has to hand, oh god no, he's pulled out the box. This is going to be...
Let me get the major chord. That's it. And then it goes to a... Sorry. Got it. All right, I'm ready.
Do your worst.
All right. What the hell is that? 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 Only, where's the B major? Andy and Remington, no. What the hell is that? 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 Only Andy and Remington. No.
Well, a few cries of despair from the chat there.
I thought that was sounding cool, man.
It sounded fine to me.
Mic check. Oh dear. Okay.
Mini Warrior says Rem step. Is that a new kind of music? Okay, so we've got some answers already, and I'll let people know if they are correct. Dwarf Lord from Mini Warrior. Nope. Dice Miniature Paint Guy says Halfling riding a cockerel. Nope. Dino Titan Edition, Halfling Regiment Champion. Nope. Fluffy Dread, is it the original Nagash? Nope. Auric Lovegod, Greater Slan. Nope. Mickey Genver, Feather on Lumpin Kroop's hat. Nope. I can tell people, though, it is a feather from someone's hat. So there's your first clue.
Oh, I was going to say a rib cage from a skeleton.
Nope, it's a feather from someone's hat.
Oh.
Andreas Goodmanson says Mornfangs. Nope. Mini Warrior, Goblin Wolf Rider. Nope. YouTube Newbie, in his usual comedic style, suggests that it could be a Land Speeder gear stick, which is, of course, incorrect. Sebastian Blau, Ogre Maneater Cap. Nope. Andrew Wade says Static Flock. I'm assuming that was an answer, but nope. Fluffy Dread, Original Emperor Karl Franz Feather. Nope. Another clue, this is something currently available on the GW website. It's not an out-of-production miniature. Let's see, any other suggestions? Dino Titan Edition, Rico's Imperial Reichsguard. Nope.
It looks
Fluffy
like
Dread Slan. Nope.
it looks like a fossil of a bird.
It does, actually. It looks kind of like... There's an eyeball up here, doesn't it? That does look like an eyeball, but it's not. It's two feathers alongside each other. on somebody's hat. Whose is it? Newbie says feather on Empire Witch Hunter. Nope. Sebastian Blau, Free People Captain. Nope. Dreddy says Father Feathery McFeatherface's hat feather. No, although it should be. Jeffrey John Lewis, Skink Priest feather. Nope. Mini Warrior Joseph Bugman. Nope. Mickey Genver, Empire General hat feather. Nope. Andreas Goodmanson, Free Guild General. Nope. Mini Warrior Witch Hunter. Nope. Okay, to narrow it down even more, I'm going to tell you that it is from the Ironweld Arsenal. Someone should get it pretty fast now.
Ooh.
Fluffy Dread saying hi elf before I gave that clue, so no. Gloom Dreddy says Seraphon Tickle Fetish Feather. Nope, although we do know they exist. Mini Warrior Deathwing Feather. Nope. Pepine Booman says Marius Leitdorf. Fluffy Dread Engineer. Nope. Andreas Goodmanson Hellblaster. That is correct. It is from the Hellblaster Volley Gun Crewman. So, just to prove it, I'm going to go all the way over here, and there it is. Look at that. From the feather atop his head.
Now, apparently, Andy, Spiky Bits have been doing a kind of a what the hell is that ripoff. Can you believe that?
Have they really?
Yeah, I read that in the comments.
Well, we're going to have to look into that and maybe take legal action. Maybe we can have just one big kind of full legal action taken against the entire industry.
I mean,
probably save money because we've got to sue Duncan, obviously.
Well, Mickey Jennifer said she'd be my lawyer, but then she started coming up with $1 million ID rip-offs herself. It's like I just can't get the stuff.
Outrageous. If anyone would like to offer us any free legal aid so that we can essentially become billionaires with all our ideas that have been just ripped off and stolen left, right, and centre, I don't think it's going to be anywhere short of $1 million.
Maybe we should do a Kickstarter, right, or Indiegogo. Do you think we can, we can share out the share out the winnings?
We'll have to look into whichever one of those sites lets you keep the money even if you don't reach your goal.
I think
GoFundMe is like that.
If any Americans are watching, I think an American lawyer would be preferable because they sue each other for everything, don't they, in America?
Well, they certainly do. Maybe just to add some spice to it, we should go into Warhammer World and plant stray hairs and stuff in our burgers.
Yeah, or just accidentally but deliberately slip over on the cold granite floor and then blame, their health and safety or something like that about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like if you've seen that episode of Bottom where they're trying to make it like an accident video by throwing darts at each other. It'll be that kind of tone, but in Warhammer World with
I tell you what, I think in Warhammer World stuff is possibly nailed down proper. Because you know that amazing battle report you put up? By the way, if you haven't seen it, check out our battle report from Warhammer World, which Andy put up a couple of days ago, and it's on that really exotic table in Warhammer World with all the trees on it and
maybe the most attractive table at Warhammer World, which is saying a lot.
It's brilliant, right? But I won't say I deliberately tried to vandalise it, but my hand brushed against something quite hard, and if it was any other table, it would have definitely, took a piece off it. I'm telling you, this stuff is rock hard. Every tree, it's almost like you can't even pull it off or chip it off or anything. I don't know what they do, whether they put super glue spray on everything to make it so solid. I don't know what they do, but it's really hard to vandalise stuff at Warhammer World.
Well, folks, if you're interested in hearing about Remington's hand brushing up against anything else that might be hard, you may be interested in the next segment of the show, because it's time for the next episode of the Forest of Rem. An original adventure in which you are the hero, you being Remington, of course, complete with combat system, monster encounters, and there's no score sheet. Unless Remington's been keeping a score sheet.
No.
Have you been keeping mental track of all your equipment?
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember? You want to tell the audience what Remington is currently carrying around on his person?
Remington! Steel is carrying a magic stone with the name Remington carved onto it, and I'm fully dressed. I have a broken mandolin, and I have a lot of courage, and I have a skull dice.
You also have the halfling flesh glove. You accidentally ripped off pieces of flesh from that halfling body, and now one of your hands is like encased in immovable halfling guts and skin. So one of your hands is now like a flesh.
Did I get a +1
mass.
save?
If you are called to take any armor saves and you use the flesh glove to shield yourself from the blow, then we may give you +1 to your dice roll.
Okie dokie.
And with your propensity for rolling ones, that may come in very, very handy. Because that's how you got the glove in the first place, rolling a 1 while trying to search a halfling's body.
Right, now, if I remember correctly, I was approaching a tower.
You were.
It may have been silver coloured. I can't remember.
It definitely was not silver. It's not the silver tower. I can tell you that now. So, young Master Remington approaches the stone tower, its mossy walls seemingly going on forever into the sky, chasing the mysterious figure who entered. Remington slowly creaks open the wooden door, very slowly indeed, like this. Inside is nothing but darkness. Do you sprint full on into the darkness, step carefully into the darkness, or try to find some way of illuminating that darkness?
I shall sprint headlong into the darkness and trust in Slanesh's guidance.
Very well. Young Remington lowers his head and sprints headlong through the doorway into the darkness within the tower, and comes to a very sudden stop as his head impacts something fleshy, warm, and moist. The door of the tower slams behind him, encasing him in darkness. Feeling around is nothing but warm, sinewy, fleshy, oozing surfaces.
It's been a long time since I felt anything like that.
Oh dear, oh dear. Mr. Remington, you have a choice to make. Which way will you go? At the moment, you're navigating with touch only. Will you go left or right? You can't go forwards because it's nothing but a fleshy wall.
I can't let the flesh glove guide me then.
Well, the flesh glove is actually kind of hampering your touch ability on one side. So you're kind of having to feel around with one hand.
Okay.
And your face as well. You're just rubbing against the flesh.
Well, it's like, I think I'm a bit like Zoolander where I can't turn left. So I'm going to just go right.
And I'm going to ask you to roll the dice.
And I shall roll my skull dice. And it will say, Remington! 4.
Very well. As young Master Remington moves right, feeling along the sinewy, veiny flesh wall, his hand comes into contact with something hard and cold and metallic. It feels like a lamp. Will you light it?
Oh, what with?
It also has a small box of some kind of flint with it.
Yes, I would light the candle.
Roll the dice.
Here we go. Remington! 2.
You're so lucky that wasn't a 1. If that had been a 1, I think it would have exploded. The lantern illuminates the room, allowing Remington's eyes to tell him exactly what he has been touching this whole time. The walls are pink, pulsating, covered in a series of hideous, bulging veins. He sees a small corridor, if he were to continue to the right, leading to a spiral staircase leading up into the tower. Looking back from the door that he came in through, he sees there is now nothing but flesh.
Is it female flesh or male flesh?
I don't think there's any way of knowing at this stage.
Can I check?
I don't think you can, unless you've got some kind of DNA testing kit about your person.
All right, what is the choice?
Well, you could head up to the spiral staircase, or you can continue to kind of appraise the flesh.
I think I should go. I could poke around in there, maybe find something.
Yeah, you could search. There are kind of alcoves within the flesh, and you could search underneath the veins and that kind of thing.
Might find something rewarding in there, and I think I shall.
Okay, roll the dice.
Okay. Come on, find me true love. Remington! 1.
Well, as Remington tickles beneath one of the mighty veins, his finger ensnares on it, tearing it from the wall. Thick, oozing blood pulsates from the wound and starts to fill up the chamber.
Was I poking in the wrong hole then? Clearly.
I think you probably were. I think you're going to have to head for that staircase now, or you can stay there and bathe yourself in this horrible, thick, oozing blood.
Well, can I put the flesh glove on it? It might heal it.
You want to try and plug the hole with the flesh glove, do you?
No, my finger's bleeding into it, so if I put the flesh glove over
No,
it...
your finger's not bleeding, it's the wall that's bleeding.
Oh, that's all right then. Okay. Now, I could drink the blood, I suppose, taste it, or I could poke around another hole. What do you think I should do, guys? I shall react on the first comment.
Yeah, should Remington taste the blood that's spewing out of the wall? Should he head for the staircase? Should he bathe himself? Should he try and stop the flow of the blood with potentially his broken mandolin or his clothes or his flesh glove? Come on, audience. What's it going to be?
Poke the hole, says Bazooka J. Rambo.
The hole that you've just created in one of the wall veins.
And Jeffrey Lewis says taste it. Mickey Gender says poke hole. Poke hole.
You could do both.
Pokemon. I shall poke another hole.
Another hole?
Yes.
Okay, roll the dice. He's going to be feeling around in the flesh again.
Come on. 6.
6, wow.
See how I didn't shout Remington then? I got a 6.
That's the law of the Forest of Rem, unfortunately. If you shout Remington, it's a guaranteed 1. Young Remington reaches out, prodding at another tiny crevice in the wall of flesh. As he does so, his hand seems to disappear through it without making contact. As if the wall is an illusion, it seems that Remington has found what may be a secret passage. Do you enter the secret passage? Do you head for the staircase? Or any of the other options, such as tasting the blood that people were suggesting?
I'm going to go into the secret passage. Maybe it's a treasure room.
Very well. Remington steps through the secret passage into a room well lit with candles on the walls which are not flesh, they are stone, apart from the back wall, which is clearly an illusion of flesh. Within the room is a small brown chest. That is a wooden chest, not a person's chest that is coloured brown. Do you open the chest, Master Remington?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you're going to have to roll the dice again.
Come on, let's hope it's not a chest that just traps me or bites my hand off. Here we go. Remington! 5.
As the chest opens, something glimmers from within and catches your eye. After being temporarily blinded by the shine, Remington reaches down with his non-flesh glove hand into the chest and pulls out a small token. Looking closely, he sees it is inscribed with the word steel.
I found the other stone.
Do you want to compare them to each other?
Yes.
Remington takes the Remington stone out of his pocket, comparing them. The ends of them seem to match up perfectly, as if they were once one. Well, are you going to remain in here, or are you going to head back through the secret passageway?
Are the fleshy walls sticky?
Well, the fleshy wall in here is not sticky because it's an illusion.
Oh, or maybe I could use the stickiness to stick the two stones together.
So you want to go back into the other room, you want to harvest some of the kind of slime from the flesh wall and use it to stick the two pieces together.
Yeah, it'd be like gorilla glue.
Very well. Remington passes back through the mysterious wall, takes a small piece of slime from the wall, dripping, squelches it between the two halves of the seemingly magical stone. Roll the dice.
Come on. Maybe it will turn into a bar of gold. Here we go. Remington!
Is it really a 1?
It's a 1.
Well then, as Remington places the two halves together, the words Remington and steel begin to illuminate and sparkle. The small amulet drifting out of his palm into the air, almost to the ceiling where it begins to vibrate violently. Sparks come off it. It spins incredibly quickly through the ceiling, and what drips down through the hole it leaves? A fountain of spiders. And that is where we end for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's another pickle you found yourself in there.
I like it. It's great, man.
Let's see what people have been saying about that. Obviously, people talking about poking around at the large, fleshy areas. There's been a lot of comments on that.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
People don't think you did enough poking. They thought you should have done more poking. I think you did a sufficient amount of poking. Jeffrey John Lewis says, this is the best thing on YouTube, and I have seen some stuff. It's certainly up there, isn't it? Some people saying maybe you should have done a perception check to look for sticky white substances. But no. So, we leave Remington in a room slowly filling up with thick blood, with the ceiling essentially raining spiders onto him. And we will pick that up next week. So before we go, there's just one very quick thing to look at. I'm going to quickly take a look at some pictures that people have put up on the Facebook group, which you can, of course, join in the video description. So this is a picture from Rob Schaefer,
Nice.
which is an awful lot of ogres, or beast claw raiders, as you may call them, at the back there. And this is a very nice banner, isn't it?
Yeah, that's wicked, man. It's the great maw with some tusks coming out of it.
Very tasty. Then, from Sam Jones, this is his Stormcast Eternal Army, which makes me incredibly jealous because I haven't got that many of my Stormcast painted yet. I do need to get Stardrake at some point. Look at them nicely laid out on the carpet there, which is, of course, in the realm of comfort.
That's the same carpet I've got, that is.
Are
Good.
you sure he didn't sneak into your house and take the pictures there?
I think my house is a bit too dark. I'm in a basement.
Next, this is from Power Cord. I'm going to assume that's not his real name. Anyone who is named Power Cord has very cruel parents, I think. Or the most awesome parents, depending which way you look at it. But this is his Lord Relictor, which I think is quite tasty. It's a bit more toned down than some of the other Stormcast out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. He's got a little head, hasn't he?
He has. He does have quite a small head.
Yeah, it's wicked.
Next, this is, of course, from Amy Snuggs, who's continuing with the orange iron jaws.
Wow, look at her base work, and also look at the chipping work she's done on her metal bits. It's really wicked, that is.
I think at some point someone needs to convince Lady Snuggs to put up some video tutorials on some of the, particularly the armor weathering techniques.
Yeah, nice one. It was her birthday as well this week, so happy birthday.
Indeed it was. Happy birthday indeed. This is from Save Is that supposed to be pronounced Save, Robert, or Save? Or is it just not their name at all and just something made up? We'll need confirmation on that.
Look at
But
those
this
eyes.
is, of course, a
Wow.
fire slayer with very, very glowing eyes. Or are those even the eyes? Is that like glowing cheeks, maybe?
Right, they're the eyes. I like it though. I like it a lot.
Very, very nice. Simple but effective basing, I would say, as well. It doesn't take anything away from the miniature. Like the highlights on the beard, particularly. This is from Mr. Gary Waddingham. And look at that. That is quite an impressive face that thing's got, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like the blue. It's not something I've seen on these before. What do you think of that, Mr. Rem, in your capacity as an ogre expert?
Wow, I love that ogre. He's kind of like a spectral ogre, isn't he?
He's very, very pale. What do you think of his mount?
Well, I'm not sure about the inky blue. I don't know. It kind of works on the tusks, but I don't know if it works on the face so much.
I think it looks quite cool.
You like it?
I like
Yeah,
the blood. That blood splatter down there is very realistic.
Yeah. The contrasts are nice, aren't they? The colour contrast.
Right, so that's enough of that. Sebastian Blau thinks I should paint my troll slayer with glowing butt cheeks. I could do. That could be like my own brand of fire slayers. Instead of having gold embedded all over their body, they just have it on their butt cheeks. That would take some serious conversion work, though, and I'm not sure I'm willing to spend all that money and then do those conversions. Let's see. Any other comments before we depart for the night? Because it is getting to that time. Mini warrior star drakes are surprisingly small. I don't think they are. I think they're huge.
Are you going to get one, Andy?
At some point, I'm going to have to get one, especially since I've got the patented Andy dry brushing, totally not dusting technique to paint Dracoths, and it'll also work on star drakes. So I think I could pull that off, and it would look quite nice. So before we go, let's just.
I have some quick news.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I mean, we've got Remington's rumour mill has, sifted through the droplets of rumours really that are going around. But here's one from Fayette 212. Next, made to order, coming to Games Workshop. There are quite a few models that have gone the way of no longer available over the years. These discontinued models may be making a comeback under a new section of the Games Workshop web store called Made to Order. GW will bring back some of the out-of-print miniatures in limited quantities under a new Made to Order label. More official info will come next week. Is there any old models you want to see making a comeback?
The old Nagash.
I need to say that.
Well, I don't think that'll happen because there is a newer model, but you would imagine some of the old stuff that's been completely discontinued, it would be interesting to get those models back again. But if it's going to be made to order, does that mean it's going to be more expensive, perhaps?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I bought those Blood Bowl star players in a clan pack, and I got 5 models for £20. So I think they're going to be around that kind of price, probably.
Well, the thing is, with casting metal, it's not as expensive to actually get the molds and whatnot and to do small runs of it. Whereas with plastic, you really have to do it in vast amounts for it to be worth doing, generally. So considering the metal models were already fairly expensive,
yeah,
they might be comparable still.
Probably like £10 for a hero, £20 for 4 or 5.
Well, this is something for the permanent comments after the show then, so that we can look at that and then go through it next week. Suggestions for old out-of-production metal models that you would be ordering if they were available on a made-to-order basis. So leave that one for the permanent comments. Anything else in Remington's rumour mill?
No, just the tune, really. I didn't do the tune, so I'm going to play that Remington's Rumour Mill 2 for the outro.
Very well. I think that'll be very fitting. And before you do that, here we go. Back onto this fantastic image. where of course I get to play the part of the head chef, and Remington is just one of the, what would you call that, like a kitchen assistant?
Yeah, I don't know what you call a kitchen assistant. Sous chef, maybe. Let's go for a D major, and then it will go to. Yeah, E flat's nice. That's great. All right, I've got it. Here we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, you're still there, right? That didn't quite work, but what if I go? That doesn't work, but I'm just going to stay on the D because I've only played this instrument once before. So.
Get it here first, folks. Remington staying on the D.
Oh dear. I wish I had my guitar. That'll work. Remington's rumour mill, Remington's rumour mill. It's the only place where you believe everything he says. Remington's rumour mill, Remington's rumour mill. He takes his ideas from a bird named Kez. Remington's rumour mill, Remington's rumour mill. Yeah, I love this instrument. Yeah, baby. I'm getting better with every chord. Yes, sir. That didn't quite work, but really. Remington's rumour mill, Remington's rumour mill.